Well, thank you all for being here today. It's not a secret. We had a great conversation with a group of women in my den a couple of months ago, and I thought, how unfair is it to only hear from females and not have a conversation with the men? Okay. And talking about HIV and living with HIV and caring for those family members who are living with HIV, and just what is that journey? Also, caring for our clients, loving our clients through some of the toughest days in their lives. What does that look like? And then talking about the stigma. How do we remove that stigma? How do we be in a space where people feel comfortable talking about their status? People feel comfortable being around people who are okay with talking about their status, because that's one of those things that we know is not always common. And so I'd like to just take an opportunity to allow you all to introduce yourselves and then talk a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just have a conversation. So we'll start with you, Mikhail.
My name is Michael Washington. I'm a patient navigator here at AOC. Been positive for about 15 years, I think. Yeah, so the journey has been long. It's been a little rough. You go through different phases with it, and but you learn how to grow and develop and move on. And that's what I did. And I just want to encourage, uplift people, inspire people, let people know that it's okay. You can still live. You can still live a healthy, a good life. So.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Johnny, what you have?
All right. So my name is Johnny Watkins Mitchell. I am not living with HIV, but I'm married to someone who is. So it's been a journey for me. It was scary at first, I'm not gonna lie. It was, because I didn't know. I wasn't educated on it. So the stigma that came along with it was hard too at first. But I had to just cope with it and deal with it and educate myself about it. And once I did that, it became a little easier as time went on. Will's laughing. Yeah, because I mean, at first, all of the years, and y'all know, being in the lifestyle, you run from it. I ran from it from as soon as I got it, 19? I was running from it. And then when I met this man who said he had it, and I was like, oh, wow. So that was a little different for me. So it took me a minute, but I'm in. I'm all in. I'm even doing the work. I'm even the case manager, so.
Well, we're not letting you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're my trainer.
So, right, exactly. So what everyone probably does not know is that these four amazing men who are sitting here are team members at AOC. So, I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. And I think that's the great thing about being here for our clients, is that so many of our team members are actually living with HIV or living, caring for someone who has HIV or has been in this space for so long that they understand all of the things that's going on. And so it makes it a little easier for those who come through the door to know that, they're not on this walk and on this journey by themselves. So Taekwon. Taekwon is the newest member to the team.
Hey, I'm Taekwon. I'm actually an outreach worker. I've been positive since 2017. At first, when I got diagnosed, I was scared. I didn't want to take my medicine, so I was running from it. And Johnny actually reached out to me and actually coached me through a lot and helped me get into care, and even said that, I think you'll be a great fit here. And I didn't even think of, when I sent him my resume, I was like, I probably ain't gonna get the job. So I was like, I just kept working in call centers, and then Will called me and was like, hey, you wanna do an interview? And I was like, sure. And then a week later, I got offered the position. This is the best job I can say that I've ever had. Everybody here is welcoming, especially Miss Kelly. Love her. My boss, Will, Michael, we've been friends for a long, long time. But the journey was hard. I didn't want to talk about it to people, but once I got comfortable and I educated my mom and my other family and my friends on it, I don't have a problem with telling anybody I'm positive. And I encourage people to always get tested. Just it's better to know not to know than not to know. It's not even just with HIV, just living with anything, because you could be diabetic, you can have to take insulin, you can have to take anything, high blood pressure. So my mom was there through a lot of it, and I was like, I don't feel like I should have to take a pill every day to live. She was like, well, look at me. I got to take a blood pressure pill every day. That helps me keep living too. So that's what I do. I just educate myself on it, and I keep it pushing. It was hard, but I'm going. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a serious perspective. I take a blood pressure pill to keep living every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So you too can take a pill to keep living every single day.
Yep.
That's it. Well.
So, my name is Will Mitchell. I am the client service manager here at AOC. I was diagnosed in 2012. It was a little different for me. And the reason why I say it was a little different is because that was my first time experiencing discrimination with my family. And so I decided that I didn't want anyone else to feel like that. And I decided that I might have to do something about it. And the only thing that people hear about being HIV positive is the negative aspect. So I decided I wanted to become an advocate. And I just hit the ground running. And, you know, a lot of people, they don't have that support system. And so I just wanted them to know you don't have to go through this by yourself. You know, you can be healthy, live a long life, and as long as you just do what you need to do. And it's pretty much some of our youth, because we don't have this conversation, because people were scared to talk about it. So I wanted to normalize it and just say, it's okay, I'm positive. And, well, you don't look positive. I didn't know that it had a look. You know, I didn't know. Right.
Only pregnant has a look. Only pregnant has a look.
Right. So, you know, I just...
And then that's questionable sometimes, yeah.
So I just wanted to break that stigma.
Yeah.
And, you know, kick in the doors and, you know, have that conversation in my community at home. I had to educate my parents. At first, they was just like, don't tell anyone. I don't think that you need to work in this field because I don't want anyone to know your status. And I was like, well, I don't care about it. I think I'm the one that's living with it, and, you know, you should just support me and let me do what I'm gonna do. And I've been doing it ever since, and I want to continue to do it, you know?
I like it. So I'm gonna ask you, Michael, so what was it like telling your family? Or have you told your family? Let's say that. Because if not, let's move on.
No, I have. Telling my family was very hard because at that time I was going through identity crisis as well. I was trying to figure out who I was too. And so going to my mom, I just went to her and I was like, Mom, I think I need to go to the doctors. Something is different. And I don't know what it is, but I felt like something was different. And like months later, I got sick with pneumonia. And then I was out of school for about a month, almost. And it was my senior year, and I told my mom, and she was just like, okay, we'll take you to the doctor. So she took me to the doctor. We got tested. I got tested for HIV or whatever. It came back positive. I just sit there quietly. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what kind of emotions to, you know, react on or what. I just appalled. I was like, okay. My mom started crying. She didn't understand. She was like, what have you been doing? Because she didn't know what I was doing. Because, you know, my family is very religious. Come from a Kojic family. So, like, they don't really play about, you know, homosexuality and all that. So it was kind of hard just, you know, telling her everything and my whole family. And so she didn't believe it at first, so she took me to 2 other doctors. and got me tested 2 more times, and then she finally let it settle on in, and it settled in with me, and I kind of just went into like a deep depression for about 5-6 months, and I didn't want to talk to nobody and stuff like that, and that's kind of been the basis of everything over the years. I kind of went in and out of depression and anxiety and stuff like that, and I was already like a hard kid as a kid. Like I had a little hard life because I was alone. I didn't like people, so I was to myself. Like, so I always been kind of like quiet and reserved. Like I'm a people watcher, so I like to watch people and I like to see why they do and act a certain way and why they. I got bullied too, so that was a lot of the reason I had kind of like a hard life growing up. And people will look at me today and be like, "You got bullied?" I don't believe it. Well, it's true, man. It's true. I did. Handsome don't always mean that you're going to be likable. You know what I'm saying? So I learned that lesson. But yeah, my mom has been a great support system. She jumped in head on and was like, "Son, it's okay." She even gave me some tough love and was like, because it was times where I felt like I was hard on myself and like I felt like nobody would like me anymore or want to deal with me and stuff. And she would be like, "Son, well, you can't blame nobody but yourself. You can blame the other person because they didn't tell you, but you got to blame yourself too because it's just as much as your fault as it is theirs." And I was like, "Mom, you're right." And she's like, "I know you don't want to hear that, but like I had to tell you the truth because I'm your mom." And
shout out to mama.
Yeah, that settled with me.
For keeping it real.
Yeah, that settled with me. And she's very blunt, so she gonna tell the truth. So she told me that, and I just became a strong man after that. I was already a strong man because I dealt with bullying, and I really didn't fight back. I just found ways to avoid it. So I would run home or find different ways to go, or ask the teacher to let me leave early because I got chased home literally every day. So so my life was a little different, So HIV just made it more of an impact on it, So that's what my family did. My mom told everybody though too at the same time.
Yeah, mamas do that too.
She told the whole family, and I was not ready for the whole family to find out about that, let alone the homosexuality part. Like she just told them everything. I was like, "Mom, can I tell my story?" Can I tell my story? But no, she told everybody, and I know it was out of love, because she was just worried and she was just concerned and all that. But I was like, "Mom, like it's my story, not yours."
She said, "But it's taking you too long to tell the story."
Right, and
it's
so
taking you too long to tell it.
So but she's been there 100%. My mom is. When I was down and out, she'd be like, "I love you, son, no matter what. Like, I know this is hard, but you can live. Like, you okay?" My mom is a nurse, too, so, that helps, too, because she told me I can live. So I was like, okay, cool.
You can take that pill every day.
Yeah, and so I've been doing it, and I started being like a advocate when I was a kid, because I got it as a kid, 17, and, she was like, "I think you should start talking to kids and high school kids." I was like, "Mom, I'm too young and I don't even understand this yet to be trying to, advocate for somebody." And so she was like, "Well, okay." And years later, here I am.
Here you are. So you brought up a really good point, and I'm going to ask all of you this. One of those things that should happen in school and it should happen at home, and it doesn't always necessarily happen at home. And if you get it at school, if they talk about it in school, it is such an abridged version. You really don't have anything. And so the idea of talking about HIV and AIDS in school, should we have that conversation? Did anybody have that conversation with you? And then if they did, what was that conversation like? Anybody.
They did have that, but they only touched on it just a little bit. They didn't really push it and say, okay, because I started messing with guys and I didn't know that guys were just like they are, abrupt and all that. Like, I didn't know they were aggressive as they are, you know. So, you know, I was just worried about getting a girl pregnant. I didn't know going on the other side. Like, I didn't know what to do because I was a shelter church kid. So, like, my family didn't really talk about sex besides biblically. You know, that's all they would say, like, oh, you can't do this before you married and stuff like that. So you got to do this, you got to do that. And I was like, man, I don't want to do it, you know. And so I got into dudes or whatever. And, you know, it just took off from there and it was crazy. Like, I didn't know what to expect. All I knew is I couldn't have a baby with them. So, like, okay.
So that was safe.
Yeah.
That was safe.
That's how I thought. I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was naive, young, dumb, you know, not knowing anything about sex at all. Yeah. Especially gay sex.
So what about you, John?
I come from a different generation, so it was a little different because it wasn't talked about. You know what I mean? First of all, at that time, you wasn't even telling nobody you was gay or you was messing with men because you would get put in a whole box by yourself. So let alone if you're talking about HIV, that was unheard of. But I had friends who was passing away from it. Mm-hmm. And their mothers was hiding it, saying they had cancer. Mm-hmm. And they was having private ceremonies to where you couldn't say goodbye. Mm-hmm. And that happened for a long time. So, yeah, and then trying to tell my family, you know, that I'm married to somebody who have HIV. I thought my mom was going to have a stroke at first. She just kind of sat back and she looked and she said, well, do you love him? I said, I do. She said, well, we love him too. So
Shout
I was like,
Ms.
wow.
Watkins. Go ahead, Ms. Watkins. Yes.
So I was like, wow, because I didn't know, because I had already took a fast, you know, first off me being gay, second off, you know, I got married to a man, and then third of all, I was telling her he got HIV, you know. So, but she swallowed it all in, and even Will was a little nervous about me telling her, but I'm like, we gotta tell him, you know what I mean? So, you know. Yeah. But it worked out. So with me growing up, like I said, it was something that we just did not talk about. You know, we were spiritual Baptist, Southern Baptist, so, you know, it was something.
Yeah, Southern Baptist in the Bible Belt.
Right.
Yeah. For real. What about you, Will?
I mean, we didn't have that conversation. You know, I come from a family of preachers and things of that nature, so we just didn't talk about it. So everything that I knew, I pretty much found out just from experience. And it was just like, you know, you wasn't supposed to have that conversation with your parents. Not alone, I mean, you know, just sit up there and just say your status, you know. That was something that I was just like, I had to swallow in myself because I didn't believe it. And when I found out, I went to the hospital for something totally different. I went for an anxiety attack, something that I never had. But the doctor told me that it was your body letting you know something wasn't right. And so when they came back and told me that I was positive, it was just like, they came in with a preacher. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
Oh, geez.
I'm sitting there. What's going on? You know, and they told me you're positive, and I was just like, okay. And it was like, did you hear me? I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. So they was like, so what now? So I'm gonna pray about it. I mean, that's how I get through everything else. And then I was just like, okay, I need 5 more tests. So I went to different places, and they started coming back with the same diagnosis. And I was just like, oh, well, this is for real. Okay. So I went through the depression. You know, I felt dirty because people make you feel like that. And it was just like, you know, I went through that whole, I'm not finna wash your clothes with mine. I went through, here's your paper plate. Make sure when you get through using the bathroom, clean it up with bleach. You know, I went through all that, and I was like, oh, well, we're gonna have to do something different. So we don't talk about this in schools, but we need to. Right. You know, we need to have an assembly and just pretty much interact with high school students or whatever. And because, again, we're supposed to have a look. So, you know, I tell anybody when they ask me, well, how did you feel? And I said, well, this is my second chance on life because I was naive. So now I have a second chance because you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you, because I do take care of myself. So having these conversations in the schools, they run away from it. And they even took the sexual education out of schools because it's just, they don't want to have this conversation. And then what they fail to realize, your kids is doing it anyway. You know, if you say no, yes, whatever, they're gonna do it. So at least be that parent or, you know, that school official and show them how to do it right. You know, if we're gonna control it, you know?
What about you, Taquan?
So where I grew up was a lot different because we had health education about STDs and just sex in general. I went to high school in New Jersey, so we did PE for the first 2 semesters. The last 2 was health. All the way up until you got a senior. When you got a senior, you didn't take health, you took driver's aid, and you get your license and stuff, or your permit. But me, well, we talked about it in school, and I think that they should talk about sex education in all schools, and not even just for HIV purposes, just to learn how to go about having sex, whether it's male on male, female on female, how to use protection, because we went through all of that when I was in high school, like how all the way down to how to put it on. So we went through that in high school in New Jersey. But me finding out was hard for me. I was naive, dating a guy, and he messed around with somebody else and didn't tell me, but he got really, really sick, and I took him to the hospital, and they was like, yo, he has gastritis. And they gave him medicine for him to get better, but he didn't get better. So I took him to 2 other hospitals, and one hospital said he was positive, and I was like, can't be, because it had just been me and him for the past 5 years. Took him to another hospital in Mansfield, then they came back, he was positive, and I just broke all the way down, because I was like, I can't believe, because I was the type of person, I always took care of myself. So every 3 to 6 months, at Tarrant County Public Health, I knew Paula before I was positive because I would always come in there to get tested. She worked on the other side, but I spoke to everybody. So when it took me like a week or 2 before I went and got tested myself. And I went and got tested at a different location. I went to Arlington, the PMC there, and Tarrant County Public Health. And it was a black guy. He was like, I was going in there, I got my results, and he brought me into a room that was yellow. And I was sitting there, and he was like, you want to hear the good news or the bad news first? I said, let's start with the bad. And he told me I was positive. In addition to that, I was dealing with my dad getting into a wreck in May. He passed away June 17th. June 7th, his funeral was June 17th. I found out I was positive June 27th, all in the same year. So I was dealing with all of that in addition to me finding out I was positive, and it took me a while to even tell my mom. So when I told her, she thought that it was gonna be the end for me. And I went through the same thing, you can't wash your clothes in mine, put your toothbrush over there, don't drink or eat after your brother, and I'm oldest of 10. So that made me feel indifferent. I fell into a dark, deep stage of depression. I didn't want to do anything. And then now that I educated my mom, she be on me more about my medicine and going to my doctors than I be on myself. And so does all my sisters, and my sisters they're way more better than what they were. Because they all thought, he was like, my sister's like, are you gonna die from AIDS? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna die from AIDS. And I was like, I don't have AIDS, I have HIV, thank you. But they're way better now. They really on me about my doctor's appointments. I'm now to the point where they even wanna go. My mom, my siblings, they're like, are you okay? You all right? Have you ate? Like, they stay on top of me, so. And of course, you can tell I'm eating. So like, you can tell
Food tastes like food
right.
to you? Okay, we appreciate that. So this is for the 2 of you, because you're both single. So when do you disclose your status when you're dating someone? How do you disclose your status?
I'll do it in the beginning.
And wait, hold on. Yeah. And do you do it with everybody? Because is everybody worthy to know?
So me, I don't do it with everybody. I get like a feeling like me talking to somebody in the first couple of stages or the first couple of text messages, I'll know if you're going to be for me or not. Because I ask questions about like, do you have any goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your aspirations in life? Like, what are you working or going towards? If you can't answer those questions and you say, I don't know, we ain't going to get nowhere past but the text message. But if I know that we might eventually...
Okay, hold on, wait. What is the sex message?
Text message.
I was like, wait, hold on, it's a sex message? Did I miss something? Wait, did they wait?
I thought you said that too.
I did. I was like, wait. Hold on, wait. Okay, well, that's what I'm here for, to ask those questions that won't nobody else ask.
No, the text message, but yeah, but if I feel like that we might eventually go somewhere, I'll tell them up front. At first, I used to be scared, because I was like, ain't nobody gonna want me if I'm positive. But then it got to a point where, even before starting working here, I've came across a lot of people that were positive and that I would have never have thought that they were. A lot of my close friends, and I'm like, really? And then that's when we share a whole different kind of bond now. Once I found out that, because I didn't know and I wouldn't think that they were, and that's vice versa. Like, you just can't see a person and be like, they're positive, because everything that glitter ain't gold.
Hello.
So there's a lot of beautiful women, handsome women. Like, I have even like some of my straight friends that are positive, and I'm like, I would never have thought that. Yeah. So I try to tell people from the beginning, because now I just don't. If you can think or feel how you want to feel, but I'm letting you know up front before this gets any further or before we go any further that I'm positive, and I'm healthy too.
Because you take that pill every day.
Yeah, I usually tell people in the beginning stages too, because like you're getting to know me and I want you to know the full me, and that's a part of me. So if you can't accept that, then you don't really like me. And I also start with my story too. I start with my story to kind of ease in there, and I start with a little education. So, and I ask them, are they educated? Do you know about HIV? What you know? And they'll start telling me what they know, and then we'll open up that dialogue, and then I just slip it in there. So, okay, now that I know that, I'm positive. So how do you feel about that? And we either go from there or we don't. And it's
Have you faced a rejection when you've said?
Not here lately. Back in the day when I was younger, yes, a whole lot. But now it's more accepting. People are more like, oh, okay, yeah, my ex was positive too, so I don't care. Like, dudes don't care now. Like, they're being real.
They don't.
Did you say they're being real careless?
Yes. They're being real careless now. So,
So you said that. So let me tell you the reason why I asked that. One day I came up here on a Saturday. I'd been here on a Saturday. I left something and needed to come back. And I jumped out of the car, and this car pulls up. This young man pulls up in this car. He says, "Say, miss, can I get some lube?" I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I'll bring you one out." He said, "No, I need a whole bunch." I thought, well, that's not good. But, you know, who am I? I said, "Would you like condoms too?" He said, "No, I just need lube." So I said, okay. So I thought, this is my teaching moment, but I got to go upstairs first, and then I'll be back down. So I said, okay, wait, I'll let me go in the building. I'll be back out. So I come out with all of this stuff, and there's only two tubes of lube here, but there's a whole bunch of condoms. And he says, well, you could have kept the condoms. I said, no, but you can come back on Monday and get some lube and have a whole conversation. Right. If you're up for that. And I'm still waiting for him to come back. But he was like, yeah, no, I just need a whole bunch of lube. Forget those condoms. I'm good. Right. Yeah. Careless. Careless.
Yeah, some of them don't even want to use lube.
So,
yeah. Right, you won't want to use lube. It's just like, you want to be so protected, or y'all sticking that stigma with everybody else about HIV, but you don't even use that and wrap yourself up or do what you have to do for you to prevent yourself from getting it. But you talk about people with it.
Or even ask questions. They don't even ask questions. Yeah.
I have always said my status, from the beginning. But I had to get to that point because at first I just wouldn't even talk to nobody, And then I got so comfortable that I was using it as a mechanism, like, I'm positive, okay? Like, what I'm saying? Like, leave me alone. And and it was just like, no, why are you playing? No, I'm for real. Like, I really am. And then I went through that stage to where, in the beginning, I used to tell through a text message. And I was like, I'm HIV positive. And I would lock the text message in. just in case if someone said that, oh, well, you didn't disclose to me. Oh, well, I got a whole text message right here and it's locked in my phone. I did take. But, that's because I wasn't comfortable with myself then. And so getting older and getting the knowledge and the education, it's just like, that's the first thing that come out of my mouth. And it's all about confidence. If you could tell someone that, hey, I'm HIV positive, but I'm good. I'm good, I take care of myself. It's all about your demeanor. And so if you are talking to someone and you're like, oh, this is something I want to tell you. I'm HIV positive, but I'm okay. They're looking at you and they're gonna like, are you okay for real? Because,
Yeah, I remember when you first told me. I mean, we hadn't talked in years because me and Will, if y'all don't know, we grew up together. We went to the same elementary school. We stayed in the same neighborhoods and stuff like that. So it was a time where we lost contact with one another. So when we picked back up, in the first minute of the conversation, he tells me, I was like, Will, you taking me real fast. Hold on. Yeah, I was like, can I call you back? And so he was like, well, yeah. So it took me a little bit to process it because that's a lot to tell somebody at the beginning. You know what I mean?
And even when he said that he probably said he didn't. It was one of the moments where you were like, okay, well, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's
No, you ain't got to put
Did you
me
turn
on
the
the spot.
cheek? Did you turn your cheek? Did you say take that cheek?
I was like, just come on. But y'all, I'm being real. I mean, it was
But that's the whole purpose of the conversation is to be real, because that is something,
right.
You're not sure. You're struggling, or you're coming to grips with it, and then you're bringing somebody else in, and that's
a lot. So I commend y'all for doing it, telling people up front, because I know it takes a lot.
A long time to get there, because in the beginning it was like, you want to talk? I don't know if you really want to talk to me, but let's just be friends.
Or being that one. Like, can you imagine dating and someone told you that they was positive, and you was the one on the other side, and you were just like, okay. And they were like, are you okay with it? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine, yeah. We're going to continue to date, yeah. And then the next thing you know, you block their number.
you ghosted.
Yeah. But then now the tables have turned, and now it's just like, oh, wow. It took a lot for them to tell me, but I rejected them.
And I didn't even go through that, because I've had some guys talk to me and tell me that they were positive that I didn't block. I just asked a lot of questions about it. So before I was even positive, I was just like, so what is it like? Like, what do you have to do? Like, are you going to be able to live like comfortably all the time? Like, do you have to do this or do that? So that's when I started to just educate myself. And that's what made me go to start getting tested every 3 months, was that one person. So he educated me, and I asked just a lot of questions. And then I came across one guy that I thought I was going to be with for a long time that I told. And the one thing that he said to me was one of the realest things I've heard from anybody was, I love you so much, I would want you to give it to me so I can see and walk through this journey with you.
That's deep. Yeah.
So I was like, wow.
Are you still with him?
No. But it's not. It's by choice, and he just does too much sometimes. Yeah. So, but that was one of the realest things I've ever heard from anybody, for somebody to say that they care about you that much.
Sometimes that means that those people, that type of person in your life, they still need to grow. So it doesn't mean that they're not for you. They're just not for you right now.
Right.
Because you meet people down the road again, and you come back together.
Yeah, it's a saying. What is it? Right person, wrong time? Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I believe that.
So it could be a right time, right time. You just never know. You just never know.
And you can be so comfortable with it, people forget.
Yeah.
Some people forget that you're positive. You got to slow your roll.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really enjoy about being here and being with you all is that you're so comfortable. You're so comfortable in your skin and with who you are. And you're so comfortable in that place that it just makes everybody else comfortable. You don't think about it. You don't do, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to work and I'm going to work to hang out with some really cool people that I probably never ever would have met if I weren't in this space. And so I just never think about it. But the other day we had someone here and you said, well, give this baby a hug. You told somebody, give this baby a hug. And you never just know when somebody needs a hug. And it doesn't matter if the person who needs a hug is male or female, they are in this building and they are in this building for a reason. And, you just never know what someone is going through. And so to know that that's who y'all are, I am here, however. And now, Mikhail, I don't know. Mikhail, are you a hugger?
I am a hugger. Yes.
But it just takes you a minute to get to that hug.
Yes.
It takes you a minute to get to that hug.
I gotta read you first.
Yeah, I
gotta read
appreciate
your
that.
spirit.
I appreciate
I
that.
don't hug everybody.
Yeah, right.
Because
It's
I don't
true.
want they I don't want their demons.
That's yeah, I get. Everybody watching ain't gonna get that.
Right.
You might get that when you get home. But that's who so many of us who we are in this building. And I think that's the piece that everyone really needs to understand when you come through these doors, is that we're Vegas. Whatever happens here, it stays here. But you're also going to get some love here. You're going to get some love. You're going to get some care. You're going to get all of those things that you need. And then we're going to send you off into the world, but we're also going to be here when you need to come back through those doors. And so as men, whether you are heterosexual men or homosexual men, it doesn't matter. Because first of all, men are not always expressive.
Yeah.
We are, you're not always
We're
expressive.
not taught to be.
Yeah. You
That's
don't
true.
you don't say I love you, you don't hold hands, you don't hug, you don't. So to have a group of men here who are very expressive even when they get to know you. That just said that's a lot. That goes such a long way. And so I can't say thank you enough, because it makes my life easier. You're like, yeah, because I just have a group of people who get it. When maybe not other people get it. So one of the things that I wanted to ask is, you found out you found out your status. And then, so each of you, and you, even as a husband, went through your own moments of, how do I deal with this? How do I reconcile this? But was it hard to ask for help? What was that process like of asking for help? Because men typically don't ask for help. You lost, you driving around, even in the GPS tells you to reset and pull over and ask somebody for directions. You be like, nope, I got it.
That's where a lot of the depression came from.
Yeah.
Because we can't express ourselves freely, because black men are taught to be these alpha males and strong and, upright. We're not taught to express and be lovable, so.
And what go on in this house, stay in this house.
That.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very hard to ask for help.
And I'm a very strong person. So with that, with my diagnosis, I was like, I can't do this by myself. Like I need help with, because I need to figure out, for one, how to continue to live. Yeah. Number two, embrace the new me. I already knew who I was, but this is something totally different. Right. And am I gonna be okay mentally? Because it's a lot to take in. And I would tell anybody working in this field, you have to be a strong individual, especially if you're positive. Because in order to get someone's attention or to help someone, you have to tell your life experiences. And you relive that day of your diagnosis. The first day that you was diagnosed over and over and over again in order to break down that wall. So you got to be a strong individual. And I needed to go to counseling. You know, I needed to, because, you know, you taught that your family is going to protect you, love you, and just be there. And so when you get something different from them, you got to process that. Right. You know, and it's not that they don't love you, it's that they're scared. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, we are taught to be strong and don't show that if we show that, it's a weakness. So, you know, to make yourself vulnerable and say, you know what, I am scared. You know, or I do, talk to me, help me understand this, help me explain this to my mother, you know, or to my sister, you know, and how to continue to hold my head up and not walk through this process with that stigma and that shame attached to you. So yeah, I had to learn. Mm-hmm.
But I've been working here though, the clients get younger and younger.
Yeah.
And you end up saying, these are babies because they babies, you know what I mean? And so I do hug them a lot, I do. I do. You have almost like nurturing because they don't have the family. They don't. Their parents didn't put them out. They living from couch to couch. They haven't had a bath. They don't have clothes. They haven't eaten. So when they come in, this is like a one-stop shop. You have to meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. You have to love on them a little bit. You got to feed them. And then you have a conversation. Because you have to establish that relationship to say, look, I'm here for you. Because when they come in the door, they guard it. It's a wall up and you know it. You see it. You know what I mean? And they're not going to tell you everything until they feel comfortable. So you have to really work your way. And I'm going to use you as an example. You're not a hugger like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So somebody like you got to be real careful with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got to be like, okay, well, let me see how I'm going to meet him where he is. Right. Yeah.
And Kelly said that particular day, I said, this baby need a hug, but I'm not really a hugger. So when a person come in, I can kind of just feel them out, and I'm like, I know exactly who you need to work with. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like the big brother, daddy type. Okay, you know what you need to do. You know, and some people need that. But then there's other people that need, oh baby, come here, sweet baby. You know, that's what they need.
Even the straight men need that. Yeah. Some have hugged me and just broke all the way down. Yeah. And you be like, wow, you've been holding that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was working for GM Financial, I will never forget one of my supervisors always told me, being on the phone, handle the customer service portion first before the business side. Yeah. So that allowed me and helped me grow a lot just in with the life, you know, just even if I were talking business, handle the customer service part first, you know? And then as far as like needing help, I don't like asking for help either, but how my mom explained it to me, she said, what's your favorite artist? I was like, Tank. She said, do you not think Tank needs somebody to direct his videos and record them? He needs a publicist. He needs somebody if he need a song written. Same with Beyonce. She needs somebody to produce her video. She needs somebody to produce her CD. So everybody needs somebody. You need somebody too. Yeah. So that's how she explained it to me, to where it kind of helped me be able to ask for help from the HIV side. Just even if I like gas money or anything, because I would not try to call my mom for anything. I'll try to exhaust all my resources, even with work. I try to exhaust all my own resources first before I be like, hey, I need a hand. Because I don't like asking for help either. So that's
where my real help came from was I went to a youth camp when I was 19 years old, and I was the oldest teenager there because I went late, but they let me in. And so I met my best friend there, and he was born with it, you know. And it was about 50 awesome kids there, and most of them were born with it. It was like 3 of us that were sexually involved with it. And so they taught me a lot. Like, y'all can get up and y'all can live every day, and y'all was born with this, and y'all didn't have no control over it. I can do this too. So that's where my help came from.
I like that.
Yeah, that was therapeutic for me. Yeah.
So if you had to, just thinking, I've been having these conversations with different people in the community, and it's just so ironic. Everyone says when you start talking about HIV, and they say, "Well, people still get HIV? That's still around?" You're thinking, not only is it around, we're in the middle of a pandemic with COVID, but we also in the middle of a pandemic with HIV. Where have you been? How do we get that? How do we tell people that this is real, that this is still here? It's not gone away. It's not. And it's not just affecting men, but it's affecting women, and our clients are getting younger and younger, and versus older and being able to understand. How do we tell that story? I was just on a call this morning with someone from TCC, talking about February 7th is National Black HIV AIDS Day, and wanting to do a program and having that person say, I hadn't thought about that. But you have a whole health system, on your campus. So how do you even help those young people who are going through, and they are our next nurses and medical assistants and dentists and doctors? Really, there's a whole other thing that is happening out here, and it's not just what you read in a textbook.
Right.
This is a real lived experience. How do we keep putting that message out there? Because I'm asking you all now, because really that's going to be our plan for 2022. How are we going to be out there in the community in a bigger way? We're starting tomorrow at a church.
I'll be there.
Yeah, just having a conversation with some kids, and the parents are antsy, but you're like, baby, your kids are doing some things that you have absolutely no idea what is going on, and they're growing up in church.
I think the target population should be black women. It's a whole lot of black women who have HIV. And they fall under the radar. They don't talk about it. You don't see them, but they have it.
Yeah.
I think we definitely got to promote self-love when we're going out into the community too, because hurt people hurt people. Yeah. And that's what's going on. Is people just hurting people because they're hurt on the inside. A lot of times people don't express themselves freely on the outside, and so they have all this energy balled up, and they don't know how to express it. You got to express it.
I think that and just letting people know that it's okay. It's not the end of the world, and just for people to share their stories, because it's a lot of people that probably have a lot of stories. Well, I know have stories about how it affected them and how they went through it. So I think sharing our stories, like especially us four, and letting them know how we went through it and look how strong we are, and to know that it's okay, and it's a lot of resources out here, even if you're not positive, that we can help you so you don't catch it. Just letting people know that it's okay, it's not a death sentence, and there's a lot of resources out here for you, whether you're positive, negative, with anything. Right. So
I just feel like continuing to have these conversations, because somebody's watching.
Right.
And to say, oh, well, you know what, they look like me. Or we can share the same experience. So continuing to have this conversation and normalizing this, and also taking these conversations into the community. And because everyone is scared, and just saying, hey, we having a whole program, we need you to come out. And, just, oh, well, I didn't see him at the corner store, but you don't know my story. So now, I'm in the neighborhood, this is the neighborhood that I'm from. And you know what we do, you know what I'm saying? And so, just bringing this awareness is what we need to keep doing.
I think it's interesting. I've been doing this thing on Facebook, and I'm a little frustrated, and I'm trying not to be on my soapbox, my social media soapbox, but so I'm not gonna get on my social media soapbox. But if I post a picture of myself, or I post a picture of me and someone else, and we're somewhere and we're doing something, I will get easily 500 or 600 likes and a lot of comments. But anytime that I post anything that is HIV related, if I get 30 likes, heck, I'm doing good some days to get 10, right? It's just silent. It is just absolutely silent. And so I had a preacher, a minister, call me, and I guess I'd been here maybe about a month. And he called to tell me that I needed to be ashamed of myself being in a place working where we're giving out medicine, the PrEP medicine, to young men, and that PrEP medicine is affecting their liver, their kidneys, and their hearts. And I should just really be ashamed that I am killing young African-American men. So I said, so you're concerned. Help me understand this. Let me pull this in. You're concerned about the PrEP medicine. You're concerned that it is messing with their liver, their kidneys, and their heart. So you're not concerned that so many of these young men are homeless, they're hungry, they need help. You're not concerned that many of these young men haven't disclosed their status. They're sleeping with men. They're also sleeping with women, and they're sleeping with women who believe that they are in a heterosexual monogamous relationship, and the person that they are with is not telling anybody. So we have a whole group of women who are now the leading number of newly diagnosed cases of HIV in Tarrant County and across the nation. But you feel like I should be concerned with the PrEP medicine that's messing with somebody's liver, their kidney, and their heart. That's what you're telling me, preacher. That's where we are tonight. I said, okay. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and because I am a preacher's kid, we're just gonna go and get off the phone. Cause this conversation, I got about 5 things that I wanna say, and they all start with a word that's probably not gonna mean we're gonna be friends when we end this conversation. But that's what we have out in the community, and that's the message that is being put out there. It's the medicine. No, it's not the medicine.
But you know what the truth of the matter is? And this is just, across the board. Women, men, just across the thing about it is everyone doesn't have everything, So it's called survival. Yeah. And so by any means necessary. And when you in that mode, you're not thinking about protection. You're thinking about, well, you know what, I need a place to stay. Or I need some clothes. Or I need some money. I need to eat. So you're not thinking about that. So showing a person how to be healthy while living this lifestyle or doing this, this is why we're here. Yeah. Meeting them where they are, not judging. We having the conversation, well, if this is what you're doing, let me show you how to be safe doing this. Versus going somewhere and somebody's looking at you cross-eyed because you're a prostitute, or they're looking at you cross-eyed because you on drugs. It's, come here, we got you.
But we have to bridge that gap between us and the church.
Right.
Because that's where the roadblock is, the church, the black church. Because the black church will make you feel real bad. I went in there and sat down, and as soon as I sat down, you could tell He keyed right in on me. So I politely just got my little Bible and I left. I said, not today. So yeah, we have to fix that.
We have to do better.
We got to fix that.
You know, because it's just, if a person just was diagnosed and their self-esteem is low, and you run into the church because that's where you're taught to go.
Right.
You know, this is your safe place. You know, everybody's we're gonna pray for you, we're gonna do this to get you to where you need to be. And they turn their nose up at you.
And you can't be over no auxiliary.
Yeah.
Don't even go in there thinking you finna do that.
Well, you can play the piano.
That's it. The minister of music.
That's it. That's all you got. That's all you
You
got.
better not
That's
try
all
to
you
teach
get.
no Bible study or no Sunday school.
They can have it.
Yeah.
Well, as we bring this to a close, you have any parting words you want to share? Any more words of wisdom?
I would just say, just know it's okay. With not even just with this, just within just life, everything is going to be okay, and you can always come to AOC. We'll be here.
We will be here. The doors will be open.
I'll just say, you have HIV. HIV doesn't have you. You know, and live your life.
I would say, go ahead, what you think?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I would just say love yourself. Come get tested regularly and talk about it.
Yeah.
I just want to say that embrace your second chance. Because what's funny is that I wouldn't change it. You know, some people can say, well, if there was a cure,
stronger.
would you take it? I wouldn't, because me looking at the people that I have helped, and when they was at their lowest, and then seeing them embracing and they becoming advocates, and you know, living life. I just seen so many people get married, and you know, just being that face of, okay, well, I'm positive, I'm married, and you know, and I have an amazing family and amazing career. You know, this has changed my life. My diagnosis has become my career. So just embrace it.
Change your life in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because it changed mine in a positive way too.
It
I wouldn't
did.
go back and change it either. It made me stronger man than I ever thought that I could be. Like, I didn't think that I would be able to get through my dad passing away and then this on top of it, and I made it through it all. I'm still pushing.
I didn't understand none of this when I first started, but like, I get it now. Like you said, I get it. I get it.
I mean, and then coming from a spiritual background, and you know, my mother knew, oh, you're gonna be a preacher. You know, I just see it, and you know,
Yeah,
what
said
you
the
see
same
is
thing
me
about
helping
me
from, I'm saving lives and changing lives, but just not the way that you thought I would.
Right.
So
That's true.
You know, what's the scripture say? Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And you don't know how long the night is,
Right.
but when you turn that corner, this is joy.
Right.
You know, I had to walk that journey to get to this place, and it doesn't mean that there's not another journey ahead of me. It just means that I'm in this place, and in this place, I get to help other people who are in the middle of their night. Yeah. I like it. I like it. So thank y'all for talking and sharing. I am so appreciative of each of you. And so to all of you who don't know, Johnny received the first promotion that I ever gave when I was when I came to work here. And then Will got the next one, and then Mikkel got the next one, and I keep hearing you up for the fourth one. So I'm really excited that it's been a really short time, and you guys have just stepped in, and you've blossomed and you've grown, and you've stepped into those roles of leadership, and that's who we need, and that's what we're doing, because that's what we're doing here. We're grooming leaders. We're grooming that next generation of people to keep doing the work that we have been assigned to do. So thank y'all so much. I appreciate
thank you.
And thank you, Miss Kelly, for having the conversation with us, because a lot of people don't.
This was good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it. We need to. We gotta do more. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, at AOC.org is our website. We're here when you need us. The doors are always open. We look forward to seeing you.